All right, here we are at week 8, our very last week together. And I just want to do a short presentation today of all of the things that we've talked about the past 8 weeks. So you guys can have a really fresh idea and all of the key components that we talked about for this week. So the 3 main things I want to address is how food is fuel, as we have learned so many times over the course of the last 8 weeks together. And then listening to our body, and I want you guys to know how and why it's important to refer yourselves to dietitians and registered dietitians only. So, food is fuel. We talked about why food is fuel because we need carbohydrates, protein, and fat, all 3 together, to make sure that we're adequately nourished and having a well-balanced diet. So the carbohydrates help us with energy. They're our main source of energy, and as athletes, you need extra carbohydrates than the normal person. You guys also need more protein than most people too to help support all of your activity and make sure you're getting enough muscle growth and muscle regrowth as well. And then fat helps hormone regulation. It helps us with temperature regulation and a lot of vitamin and mineral absorption components as well. So fat helps us absorb vitamins and minerals. And then we talked about why hydration was important and that water is the absolute best way to stay hydrated. And you know that you're hydrated when your urine is light yellow. So there's not a set amount of water that you should be drinking per day, but remember that it varies based on the weather. It varies based on the humidity in the air if you're at elevation. Many different things, so just make sure that you are properly hydrated based on the weather and the current conditions outside or wherever you're working out. And then we talked about the athlete's plate. So remember, half of a plate should be grains after your really hard workout days, and that's because we want to replace all of the carbohydrates that we had lost. So that's a key takeaway, is half of a plate grains, which means pasta, bread, rice, anything like that. And then we addressed travel nutrition. So the key takeaway from that one is to stick to what you know and have a good plan of action for when you are out traveling. Because we can only control so much when we travel. So one thing that we can do a really great job of controlling is our hydration and our nutrition, as long as we have an adequate fueling plan, and then having those access to snacks by bringing your own snacks. And listening to our body was also a key component of what we talked about over the last 8 weeks. So if you learned anything from this course, I hope that it is to tune into yourselves a little bit more, because everyone is different. You guys are all individuals, and your body needs different things based on your level of activity, the different sports that you do, and things like that. So getting enough sleep is very important. At least 8 hours. I would even argue that you need more than 8 hours. So plan ahead to make sure you have, at the very minimum, 8 hours of sleep a night. And practice self-care. So we talked about how you can read a book, take a nap, light a candle, anything that makes you feel good, that brings stress off of you. Because as athletes, your bodies are under a lot of stress throughout the day. Even if you might not feel it, it is. So another form of self-care is to nourish yourselves with food, and enough food, to make sure that you are not stressing the body any more than you need to. So practice self-care. Start to identify how you like to take care of yourself and practice those more often. And don't be afraid to adjust your plans throughout the day or day to day as you need them. Don't be afraid to rest. If you have to say no to, going out with your friends, that's okay. Our bodies know us, and if we need rest, they will tell you. So, if you need an extra couple hours of sleep, that is also considered adjusting your plans. So just keep that in mind. Be flexible with yourself. And then, of course, eat when you are hungry. So we talked about hunger cues and how we can have different sorts of hunger cues, like getting a headache, maybe our stomach is rumbling, or you're feeling dizzy or faint. So identify your hunger cues and then eat, of course, when you are hungry, at least 3 meals a day, maybe 2 to 3 snacks. And remember that snacks can be the very key to managing our hunger between meal times. So have a balanced snack with a carbohydrate and a protein or a fat um, to manage your hunger a little bit better. So, lastly, registered dietitians are the experts when it comes to nutrition. So, if the person doesn't have the credentials RD after the name, it is not a reputable source. So, a lot of people call themselves nutritionists, nutrition coaches. If they are not a registered dietitian, they are not a reliable source, especially for athletes. So, registered dietitians can get a certification specifically for sports dietetics, which is called the CSSD, and that is again going to be after their name. So, if you see RD and CSSD, then you know that you have a really, really great source where the information is coming from. So, these dietitians take a special training course to make sure and to build upon their skills as a dietitian to help address athletes. So look for RD and CSSD. And it's okay for you guys to reach out to help for help from RDs. Our job is to help you make sure that you're fueling adequately. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And then always ask questions. So I am here to help you with your questions now if you have them, and then in the future. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. So again, just remember, always look for registered dietitian. That's going to be the number one source for you guys to get your information from. And just to wrap up, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to teach you the last 8 weeks. I hope that you gained some valuable information. And if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out. But again, thank you for letting me teach you, and I will talk to you soon.